Celtic Badass of the Week showcases a person of Celtic heritage each week. Those who exemplify the give no shit attitude and come out on top. They may come from our past or our present, but rest assured they come from all walks of life and legend. They are men, women, even old ladies and pirate queens. Now you don't have to be a muscled up Celt in a fur kilt swinging a mighty sword. You can just be a 4'11" Welsh woman and suffragette who knows jujitsu. Now most of these badasses are all too real, and while some of these are only legend, they're badass legends. The only prerequisite is Celtic blood and badassedness. Deep from the Olde Scot vault comes this week's Celtic Badass. I should say badasses, because while researching all the brave people who had received the Victoria Cross, I came across quite a few Celtic badasses, but 4 of them stood out to me. Now, the Victoria Cross is awarded for extreme acts of valor. The medal was formally introduced by Queen Victoria on the 29th of January, 1856. It thanks soldiers and sailors of all ranks for most conspicuous bravery, for some daring, preeminent act of valor, or self-sacrifice, or extreme devotion to duty in the presence of the enemy. It is the highest military decoration that can be given to a British or Commonwealth soldier in the British Armed Forces. So, let's get started. Our first badass is Ross Tollerton, who was born on the 6th of May, 1890, at Hurlford in Ayrshire. On the 24th of October 1905, at the young age of 15, Ross enlisted in the Queen's Own Cameron Highlanders and went on to serve with the Queen's Own Cameron Highlanders in Ireland, South Africa, Hong Kong, China, and India before transferring to the regular Army Reserve in 1912. In 1914, he was recalled from the reserve and served during World War I with the 1st Queen's Own Cameron Highlanders in the British Expeditionary Force. Now, on the 14th of September 1914, he was awarded a Victoria Cross for his actions at the Battle of Aints, where he was wounded twice. He carried a wounded officer under heavy fire as far as he was able, but to a place of great safety. Then, although himself wounded in the head and the hand, he struggled back to the firing line where he remained until his battalion retired. When he returned to the wounded officer and stayed beside him for 3 whole days, administering first aid and keeping the man alive until they were both rescued. Now that's pretty badass. Now our second badass is Donald Mackintosh. He was born 7th February 1896 in Glasgow to Colonel Donald J. Mackintosh, Superintendent of Glasgow Western Infirmary, and his wife. Now, upon the outbreak of World War I, Donald enlisted in the Royal Army Medical Corps, where he was posted to the 3rd Scottish General Hospital. He formerly enlisted as a 2nd Lieutenant in the 2nd Battalion Seaforth Highlanders on the 20th of February 1950, and went on to serve with the same battalion in France. Now, on the 2nd of February, he was promoted to the rank of Lieutenant and was posthumously, means after he died, awarded the Victoria Cross at Fampoux, east of Arras, where he was killed in action on the 11th of April, 1917. During the initial advance, he was shot through the right leg. Now, although crippled, he continued to lead his men and captured an enemy trench. In the captured trench, Lieutenant Mackintosh collected men of other companies who had lost their leaders and drove back a counterattack. He was again wounded, and although unable to stand, he remained in command and continued to control the situation. With only 15 men left, he ordered his party to be ready to advance and, to take on the final objective. With only 15 men, he ordered his party to be ready to advance to the final objective. And with great difficulty, he mustered the whatever it took and stood up and got out of the trench and encouraged his men to advance. Such badassery, I tell you. Now, he was again wounded and fell dead right where he stood. The gallantry and devotion to duty of this officer was beyond all belief and praise. Unbelievable. Now our third badass is Alexander Edwards, who was born on the 4th of November, 1885 in Lousymouth. Wow, what a name. He enlisted with the 6th Battalion Seaforth Highlanders on the 1st of September, 1914. The only dangerous thing he did before the war, though, was dodge golf balls as a caddy in Lousymouth Golf Club. Wow. I'm sure there's a better pronunciation for that, but man, it just... Alexander served in France soon after his enlistment and training, and he was awarded a Victoria Cross for his actions at the Battle of Ypres on the 31st of July, 1st of August, somewhere in there, 1917, where he was wounded 3 times. Now, he was killed in action at Arras, France on the 24th of March, 1918. Sergeant Edwards, regardless of his wound, led his men on until the object was captured. He subsequently showed great skill in consolidating his position and very great daring in personal reconnaissance. Although twice wounded on the following day, this very gallant non-commissioned officer maintained a critical position with a complete disregard for his personal safety, and his high example of coolness under fire and determination engendered and emboldened a fine fighting spirit among his men and others. All right. And our fourth and final badass is Robert McBeath. Now, he was born on the 22nd of December, 1898 at Kinlochbervie and educated at Ishkin School. Now, Robert enlisted in the 5th Battalion Seaforth Highlanders Territorial Force on the 14th of August, 1914, which he served with in France and Belgium until 1919. He was promoted to Lance Corporal on the 24th of July, 1917, and awarded a Victoria Cross for gallantry at Cambrai on the 20th of November, 1917. Lance Corporal McBeath, regardless of all danger, rushed in after them, shot an enemy who opposed him on the steps, and drove the remainder of the garrison out of the dugout position. He captured 3 officers and 30 men. Now, there were Germans in all 5 machine gun positions mounted around the dugout position, and by putting them out of action, he cleared the way for the advance of both critical units. The conduct of Lance Corporal McBeath throughout these 3 days of severe fighting was beyond belief and praise. Now, that's their words. Wow. My words, it's badass. Wow.